All right, good morning, everybody. So today what we are going to be doing is, like I said, I kind of slowed things down a little bit. We were going to be doing a brief write today, but I decided to postpone the brief write till next week, just again, so that we catch our, aren't trying to do like a million things at once. So we are going to, like I said, we are slowing down just a little bit. So hopefully that'll help you guys make sure that you're staying caught up on what that we got going. Yeah, more missing students. And those of you who are just now joining us, just remember that class does start at 8. So if you guys can get here again a few minutes earlier as opposed to a few minutes later, that is always preferable. All right. So I reminded you yesterday that while we were doing our catch-up day, so I let you, and not catch-up day. Sorry, had to go there, be the dad joke. But on our catch-up day, I reminded you that not only did you have to do the Act 1, Scene 1 and 2 dialectical journals, but also that you were supposed to listen to the podcast. I also told you that there was probably going to be a quiz on said podcast today. So that's what we're doing. Now, this quiz is not going to be multiple choice. It's a little different than what we've done before. Basically, you just have to give me 5 facts from the podcast. Either that you remember, but I don't want them all to be like from the, you need to be kind of like, spread out just a little bit. And then you will also, there's a random question about the top 5, again, just to make sure that you're listening all the way through. All right, Sierra, welcome. I just changed your attendance, so you're good. So the quiz is on the podcast for Sierra and other people just joining us. So you're going to list 5 facts, 5 bits of information that I mentioned. Each one of those is going to be worth 2 points, so that is worth 10. The top 5 you're going to mention is 2 points. And then you're going to upload a photo, a screenshot of showing that you've listened to the podcast completely. Okay, so there is a time limit on the quiz. So I have it set to 25 minutes. So that's when you should be all done. So that's what we're going to be doing. The quiz is called Episode 9. It's in this week's module. And it is called Mender of Bad Souls. So Episode 9 quiz, Mender of Bad Souls, based off of the podcast you were supposed to listen to either yesterday or last week. And again, there will be a new podcast this week for next week. So again, you can listen to it over the weekend. You just took the quiz, and now we are on to Act 1, Scene 3. So it looks very identical to the other ones that we've done. It's going to be, again, we have the audio here. This one is going to be from the 28th minute to the end of the chapter. So the first scene was the shortest. The second scene was by far the longest. And then the third scene is just somewhere in the middle. So in the Dialectical Journal, see if I have it open already. No, that's not it. So just a reminder that these pages will probably not match up to the ebook. This is the hard copy pages. So as long as you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. So as long as you have 7 pages, you should be good. Again, I will put you in groups again today. Again, they're going to be different groups each time. I'm not, for one, it's just too much to memorize which groups you have, and it's too long. So it'll be random groups, but I'll put you in groups of 3. You guys will be able to work on this together. You'll be able to, again, put, again, the quote, put it in your own words. And again, you can use No Fear Shakespeare, the SparkNotes website, for the translation. They do have a modern translation on there. I don't want you to copy and paste it, but you can use it as a guide to help you. And then finally, you're going to answer one of these questions, not summarize it, about your quote. So like I said, you should have 7 pages. Again, you can change the page numbers to make it match. So for example, let me open up the book. So this one starts on page 19. So it looks like it's just like 1 page off. So that's not that big of a deal. Let's see where it ends. So it looks like the same pages are right. It's just a page off. So again, if you want to change the page numbers, that'd be probably a good thing, just because when we go to do the events for our brief right next week, you want to make sure that the page numbers match up to where the quote is. But anyways, so yeah, so we are going to go ahead and we are going to listen and read. Again, we're supposed to be doing both.
All tending to the great opinion that Rome holds of his name, wherein obscurely Caesar's ambition shall be glanced at.
All right, this is the end of.
And after this, let Caesar seat him sure, for we will shake him, or worse days endure.
Okay, so that was the end of scene 2. So scene 2 is going into scene 3. So we just basically wrapped up with finding out that Cassius is trying to persuade Brutus to join the cause of killing Caesar, of getting rid of him. He's doing it in a couple ways. He's trying to flatter him, which means that he's trying to like praise him and like make him build up his ego a little bit. And what do you guys remember what the other way was? He was going to do something and throw it into Brutus's house. Do you guys remember what that was? Go ahead and put it in the chat if you remember. All right. Even though you didn't remember, thank you, Jesus, for responding. I appreciate it. Josh, nice. Anybody else remember what it was he was going to throw in Brutus's house and scatter it? He was going to make multiple of them. I believe I talked about it in the podcast too, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you, Ricardo. Nice job. And Daniel, thank you for responding. I appreciate you responding. Fernando, nice. Camilla, good. I'm going to say what it is, Joanna, so that's okay. Alexander, thank you. So let's take a look back. All right, so sorry, I went too far. There we go. Okay, so here's the last scene. I will this night in several hands in at his window throw, as if they came from several citizens, writings, all tending to the great opinion that Rome holds of his name, wherein obscurely Caesar's ambition shall be glanced at. And after this, let Caesar seat him sure, for we will shake him or worse days endure. So again, let's look at that piece by piece. I will this night in several hands. Again, several hands means like different handwritings. So he's going to be forging different letters. So I will this night in several hands in at his window throw. So at his window, I will throw several letters with several different handwritings, all tending to the great opinion, giving the great opinion that Rome holds of his Brutus's name. So again, everybody is going to be praising Brutus, and then obscurely they're going to be also like stating that they're afraid of Caesar's ambition, and ambition is like the desire to like climb higher to get more power. So that's basically where we're left at. All right, so scene 3, we're going to be meeting some new characters. Cicero was mentioned before, but we're going to actually meet him now. There's going to be some interesting There's going to be some interesting imagery in this scene. Stuff that's very like supernatural and doesn't actually like make sense in a lot of ways. So there's going to be a lot of superstitious activities, which again, like with the soothsayer, we can kind of explain. Yeah, I'll put the link into the story or into the podcast. In the podcast, I can't talk right now. I'll put the link in the chat for the story. Just remember, you guys all have access to this. It's all in Canvas in the module, but I will put the link in there just so to make your lives easier. Just let me get there. And then Thursday, we are going to be watching the movie. Oops, did not mean to go to edit. Okay. All right, here is a link to the book. Again, we are on page 19, and we're going to be reading pages 19 through 25 today, after which I will have you finish up the Dialectical Journal for Act 1. And like I said, we will have a nice little break from Dialectical Journals. This is going to be the last one you do for the next week and a half. And then we will resume Act 2 week and a half. All right, so here we go. Act 1, Scene 2.
Good even, Casca. Brought you Caesar home. Why are you breathless? And why stare you so?
Are not you moved when all the sway of earth shakes like a thing unfirm? O Cicero, I have seen tempests when the scolding winds have rived the knotty oaks, and I have seen the ambitious oceans swell and rage and foam to be exalted with the threatening clouds. But never till tonight, never till now did I go through a tempest dropping fire. Either there is a civil strife in heaven, or else the world, too saucy with the gods, incenses them to send destruction.
Why, saw you anything more wonderful?
A common slave, you know him well by sight, held up his left hand, which did flame and burn like 20 torches joined, and yet his hand, not sensible of fire, remained unscorched. Besides, I had not since put up my sword. Against the Capitol I met a lion, who glazed upon me, and went surly by without annoying me. And there were drawn upon a heap 100 ghastly women transformed with their fear, who swore they saw men all in fire walk up and down the streets. And yesterday the bird of night did sit even at noonday upon the marketplace, hooting and shrieking. When these prodigies do so conjointly meet, let not men say, these are their reasons, they are natural, for I believe they are portentous things unto the climate that they point upon.
Indeed, it is a strange disposed time. But men may...
Sorry, I meant to stop it a moment sooner, but I clicked on the wrong page. Okay, so there's a lot that was just said right now. So let's go ahead and take a look at it because, yeah, there is quite a bit that Casca said. So, all right, first of all, he goes into, are not you moved when all of the sway of earth shakes like a thing unfirm? So basically it's like, how can you stand there while the entire earth is like going crazy right now? Basically everything is going nuts. And he says, oh Cicero, I have seen tempests, which if you don't know what a tempest is like a wild storm, basically, when the scolding winds have rived the knotty oak. So basically the winds have really like destroyed trees. I have seen the ambitious ocean swell in rage and foam, to be exalted with the threatening clouds. But never till tonight, never until now, did I go through a tempest dropping fire. Either there is a civil strife in heaven, civil meaning like civilized, and strife meaning like a conflict. So either there's a conflict in heaven, or else the world is too saucy, or like basically like too I guess a word would be like too like disruptive, bad, mischievous, I think would actually be the best. So the world is too mischievous with the gods, incenses them to sin destruction. So he's saying like the world is like brimstone is falling from the sky. Everything's going crazy. The heavens must be angry with the earth. And the sister was like, why? Why are you saying all? And when he says anything more wonderful, he doesn't mean wonderful like we would mean wonderful. Like, again, wonderful just means full of wonder, right? You could wonder at really bad things. So it doesn't mean that like, what wonderful or what crazy things have you seen? So Casca's first one is what? Take a look here in page 19. What is the issue with the slave? Go ahead and type it out in the chat, please. And again, this is going to be part of attendance, so please make sure that you guys are responding during the chat during this time, so I know you're paying attention. So Casca describes a common slave. What is the issue with the slave? What's like unusual about what's going on? Pay attention to the hand. Yes, he held up his left hand. Good, thank you, Daniel. But what was unusual? There's holding up your left hand isn't super unusual, but again, there's something going on with his hand. Fernando, you're close. Josh, you're close. I think a lot of you are getting like part of it. So he held up his left hand, which did flame and burn. So his left hand is literally on fire. But if you haven't responded yet, what does it say next after that? It burned like 20 torches joined. So like a huge fire on his left arm. And yet, what happened? What happened with his hand? It says, and yet his hand what? Right. Thank you, Kathleen. Good. Yeah, not sensible of fire. It doesn't like, because it doesn't make any sense. His left hand was just like, again, a huge flame coming from it, but yet his actual hand remained unscorched. So it didn't like blacken or turn anything. Oh my God. My son, we're watching Avatar right now, Kathleen, and my son and daughter are both obsessed with that show. And our new favorite thing is the Plata bear. So I think that should be my new image that I use is the Plata bear, because my favorite animal is already the platypus. But anyways, I'm getting distracted by Kathleen and her Avatar talk. Yes, he kind of like a firebender, but yeah. So yeah, his hand is unburned. He's holding up his left hand. So next, what does he mean? So after he sees the slave with the burning hand, what does he come across next? What unusual thing? It's on the same page here. Good, Jesus. Thank you. Thank you, Chloe. Yeah, it's in the third to last line if you're still looking for it. Yeah. So first of all, I don't know if you know your geography too well. I mean, I don't. I took a couple of geography tests that my daughter had to take, and I did not do well on them. It was pretty embarrassing, actually. But I do know this. Lions, not native to Rome or Italy. So it's very unusual for a lion to be roaming the streets of Rome, bad pun intended, but yeah, so again, a lion doesn't like, it's not natural to roam in itself. Yes, they probably could have had lions, like the Wellesley might have had them and stuff, kind of like a Tiger King kind of situation, just in Rome where like people are randomly owning lions. But okay, Ryan, I'll remember that. Okay. But anyways, so he meets a lion and he says, "Who glared upon me?" So the lion looked at me and went surly by, surly meaning kind of like annoyed, without annoying me though. And I'm switching pages now to page 20. We're drawn upon a heap of 100 ghastly women. So, sorry, I blended the two sentences, but basically the lion went on, looked at him, didn't attack him, which he would have expected, and just kind of minded his own business. And then the 100 ghastly women transformed with their fear, who swore they saw men, again, all in fire, walk up and down the streets. And yesterday the bird of night did sit even at noonday upon the marketplace, howling and shrieking. When these prodigies do so conjointly meet, let not men say, "These are their reasons; they are natural." For I believe they are pretentious things unto the climate that they point upon. So, first of all, what was the bird of night that was in the daytime that again is unnatural? What do you think the bird of night is? No, I'm asking you what type of bird do you think it is? A bird of night, even at noonday upon the marketplace. Chloe's got it. Not quite, Josh. Jesus, you got it. No, Kathleen. Think about movies and think about pop culture where we see certain birds who are typically only out at night. Good, Daniel. Now you got it, Kathleen. Good job, Fernando. Josh, you got it. Yeah, so the bird of night is an owl. So so we've seen a man with his hand on fire, and yet it remained unburned. Then a lion walking the streets of Rome, paying Casca no mind, just walking on by, minding his own business, looking annoyed. So like looking like an angry lion, like who would be like ready to attack and doesn't attack him. Then we see hundreds of men all on fire walking up and down the streets, and then the owl, the bird of night, sitting at noonday howling and shrieking when normally they're not really making a lot of noise during the day. So again, all these things. So these are their reasons. Let not men say that these are their reasons they are natural. So basically, don't let people say that these are natural things. I believe that these are all omens about things that are going to be happening. So an omen is like a sign from like the heavens or from God that points to like, this is a warning for you. This is something that is going to this is pointing to something bad. So let's go ahead and keep reading where Cicero starts talking and see what his response is to Casca.
They construe things after their fashion, clean from the purpose of the things themselves. Come Caesar to the Capitol tomorrow.
He doth. For he did bid Antonius send word to you he would be there tomorrow.
Good night then, Casca. This disturbed sky is not to walk in.
Farewell, Cicero.
Who's there?
A Roman?
Casca, by your voice.
Your ear is good. Cassius, what night is this?
A very pleasing night to honest men.
Whoever knew the heavens menace so?
Those that have known the earth so full of faults. For my part, I have walked about the streets, submitting me unto the perilous night, and thus unbraced, Casca, as you see, have bared my bosom to the thunderstone. And when the cross blue lightning seemed to open the breast of heaven, I did present myself even in the aim and very flash of it.
But wherefore did you so much tempt the heavens? It is the part of men to fear and tremble when the most mighty gods by tokens send such dreadful hells to astonish us.
You are dull, Casca, and those sparks of life that should be in a Roman you do want, or else you use not. You look pale and gaze, and put on fear, and cast yourself in wonder to see the strange impatience of the heavens. But if you would consider the true cause why all these fires, why all these gliding ghosts, why birds and beasts from quality and kind, why old men, fools, and children calculate, why all these things change from their ordinance, their natures and preformed faculties to monstrous quality, why you shall find that heaven hath infused them with these spirits to make them instruments of fear and warning unto some monstrous state. Now could I, Casca, name to thee a man most like this dreadful night, that thunders, lightens, opens graves, and roars as doth the lion in the Capitol. A man no mightier than thyself or me in personal action, yet prodigious grown and fearful as these strange eruptions are. 'Tis
Okay, so Cassius is entered the scene. So Cicero leaves, asks whether or not Caesar is going to the Capitol tomorrow. Casca says he is. So he did bid for Antony to send word that he would be there tomorrow. So we now know that Caesar's going to the Capitol. Then Cicero leaves. Cassius enters. Cassius says basically, as he was walking the night, he bared his bosom to the thunderstone. So basically, he's just saying like he's walking unafraid of the lightning. He's like almost like tempting the gods to like strike him. He's basically like throwing caution into the wind. You could make the argument that he's either being very brave or he's being very foolish and careless in a way. And like even Casca's like wherefore, which wherefore basically means like why. But why did you so much tempt the heavens? It is the part tremble and fear when the most mighty, which usually the most mighty gods are the ones who control lightning, send such dreadful heralds to astonish us. And then Cassius starts insulting Casca and questioning his bravery, like you're dull, Casca, and those sparks of life that should be in a Roman you do want. So like the spark of life that should be in a Roman, that like that bravery that like a Roman should have, you want because you don't have. You look pale and gaze and put on fear and cast yourself in wonder to see the strange impatience of the heavens. But if you would consider the true cause, why all these fires? Why all these lighting ghosts? Why birds and beasts from quality and kind? Why old men, fools, and children calculate? Why all these things change from their ordinance? So like why do you think all these strange things that you've been seeing are happening, Casca? Why do you think everything is like unnatural? Why you shall find the heaven has infused them with these spirits to make them instruments of fear and warning unto some monstrous state. Now could I, Casca, name to thee a man most like this dreadful night, that thunder lightens of open graves and roars, as thus the lion in the Capitol, a man no mightier than thyself or me in personal action, yet prodigious grown and fearful as these strange eruptions are. So who is he referring to, do you think, when he's comparing all these unnatural things to? Who's he comparing to all these unnatural things that the heavens have sent upon the earth as a warning? Right, Alexander, exactly. So yeah, and I'm just gonna, in the interest of time, move it along a little quicker. Yeah, it would be Caesar. Caesar, because he's basically saying a man basically like who just is like a lion to the Capitol. He has like all this like perceived power, but really he's no more mightier than you or me. He's just an everyday person, but yet has all this power. It's unnatural. So that's what the heavens are saying. All right, let's keep going so that we can get through this.
Caesar that you mean, is it not, Cassius?
Let it be who it is. For Romans now have thews and limbs like to their ancestors. But woe the while, our fathers' minds are dead, and we are governed with our mothers' spirits. Our yoke and sufferance show us womanish.
Indeed, they say the senators tomorrow mean to establish Caesar as a king, and he shall wear his crown by sea and land, in every place, save here in Italy.
I know where I will wear this dagger then. Cassius from bondage will deliver Cassius. Therein, ye gods, you make the weak most strong. Therein, ye gods, you tyrants do defeat. Nor stony tower, nor walls of beaten brass, nor airless dungeon, nor strong links of iron can be retentive to the strength of spirit. But life, being weary of these worldly bars, never lacks power to dismiss itself. If I know this, know all the world besides, that part of tyranny that I do bear, I can shake off at pleasure.
So can I. So every bondman in his own hand bears the power to cancel his captivity.
And why should Caesar be a tyrant then? Poor man. I know he would not be a wolf, but that he sees the Romans are but sheep. He were no lion, were not Romans hinds. Those that with haste will make a mighty fire begin it with weak straws. What trash is Rome, what rubbish and what offal, when it serves for the base matter to illuminate so vile a thing as Caesar. But, oh, grief, where hast thou led me? I perhaps speak this before a willing bondman. Then I know my answer must be made. But I am armed, and dangers are to me indifferent.
You speak to Casca, and to such a man that is no fleering telltale. Hold my hand. Be factious for redress of all these griefs, and I will set this foot of mine as far as who goes farthest.
There's a bargain made. Now know you, Casca, I have moved already some certain of the noblest-minded Romans to undergo with me an enterprise of honorable, dangerous consequence. And I do know by this they stay for me in Pompey's porch. For now, this fearful night, there is no stir or walking in the streets, and the complexion of the element in favors like the work we have in hand, most bloody fiery and most terrible.
Stand close a while, for here comes one in haste.
'Tis Cinna. I do know him by his gait. He is a friend. Cinna, where haste you so?
To find out you. Who's that? Metellus Simba?
No, it is Casca, one incorporate to our attempts. Am I not stayed for, Cinna?
I am glad on't. What a fearful night is this. There's 2 or 3 of us have seen strange sights.
Am I not stayed for? Tell me.
Yes, you are. Oh, Cassius, if you could but win the noble Brutus to our party.
Be you content. Good Cinna, take this paper, and look you lay it in the praetor's chair, where Brutus may but find it. And throw this in at his window. Set this up with wax upon old Brutus' statue. All this done, repair to Pompey's porch, where you shall find us. Is Decius Brutus and Trebonius there?
All but Metellus Simba, and he's gone to seek you at your house. Well, I will hie, and so bestow these papers as you bade me.
That done, repair to Pompey's theatre. Come, Casca. You and I will yet ere day see Brutus at his house. 3 parts of him is ours already, and the man entire upon the next encounter yields him ours.
Oh, he sits high in all the people's hearts, and that which would appear offense in us, his countenance, like richest alchemy, will change to virtue and to worthiness.
Him and his worth and our great need of him you have right well conceited. Let us go, for it is after midnight, and ere day we will awake him and be sure of him.
Okay. So I kind of let it play a little bit so we can kind of get through what was going on. But basically they're just kind of finalizing that, like, yes, we are in fact going to kill Caesar. One of the things that Cassius had mentioned was that he has basically, I will wear this dagger. I know where I will wear this dagger, and he will wear this dagger inside Caesar, basically. Cassius from bondage will deliver Cassius. Bondage is like like if you're imprisoned or enslaved. So that's what he's meaning by that. So from his bondage from Caesar, Cassius will deliver himself to freedom essentially by killing Caesar. He refers to Caesar as a wolf, which, if you are familiar at all with Romans, you will know that wolves are a big part of their culture. They believe that the founders of Rome were actually basically like parented by wolves, essentially. So that's why that like imagery comes in there, is to make a reference to the founders of Rome. Um, let me get to the next part. So we meet another character, and I told you guys at the beginning there's like way too many characters named with C. So you have Cassius, Casca, Cicero, Cinna, Caesar. So it's like all the C's, you know. So there's, I know it's kind of hard to keep track of. Just remember, Cassius is like the plot maker. He's like the main, like one of the main conspirators. Casca is kind of like the oaf who can get stuff done. Cinna is kind of a minor character. He'll be important later just because of a misunderstanding that happens. And then I wanted to point something out too that you guys are probably going to be irritated about, which I don't blame you. But there are two Brutuses in this story. There's not just the one Brutus. There's Marcus Brutus, who is our main Brutus, and then there is the other Brutus as well. Oh my god, I'm blanking. I had it ready to go. Ba-ba-ba. Sorry, I am not able to find it right now. Oh, there we go. Decius Brutus at the bottom. Sorry. So yeah, so you will find Decius Brutus, but most of the time they just refer to him as Decius. So don't worry about that. So it says Decius Brutus. So Decius Brutus will, for the most part, be referred to as Decius, and Marcus Brutus will be referred to as just Brutus. They're not necessarily like relatives at all. It's just like, you know, people who have the same last name. Like not every Williams is related to one another, you know. So just it's kind of like that. So they just happen to have the last name, and all these characters are based historically. So that's why, unfortunately, he couldn't really change the names. He was trying to keep it somewhat historically accurate. But basically, again, Cassius is telling Cinna to go hide the letters that he's created. And so he's telling him, go hide them here, go hide them there, like hide them on different spots. Put one, like mark one with wax, so that way it looks like it's from somebody different. Anyways, and then they're basically saying that like we have three parts of Brutus is ours already, and the man entire upon the next encounter yields a Mars. So Cassius admits that Brutus isn't entirely on their side yet. So they have three parts of him, and then they'll have the fourth part after the letters, probably. That will be the thing that pushes him to their side. And Cassius and Casca are talking about like how, Casca says, he sits high in all the people's hearts, and that which would appear offense in us, his countenance, like rich alchemy, will change to virtue and to worthiness. He's essentially saying that Casca's saying that like the people love him. We need him. He's like he's going to give us charisma. He's going to give us that like, he's going to give that legitimacy to the conspiracy so that people will want to support our cause. Because without him, people don't like us enough, essentially. Okay. I am going to stop sharing. We only have about 10 minutes left. So basically what I am going to do, exactly. But I'm going to put you all into breakout rooms. So all you will have time for really is to get each other's information. Have one of you share the document, your dialectical journal, with everybody in your breakout room. So that way you guys can work together. It's going to be due tomorrow night. Again, if 3 of you are working on it, that means each of you only has like 2 pages, 2 1/3 pages to do. That's all. So again, it should take you no more than like 10 minutes to do. If you're working with a group, if you're without a group and you choose to do it by yourself, it might take you like 20 minutes, I would say. But again, you have today and tomorrow night to do it. So I'm trying to give you plenty of time to get it done. And Ryan, to answer your question earlier about my favorite Avatar characters, let's see. I would probably say Iroh was one, and Toph probably are my two favorites. Toph very much reminds me of my daughter in that she is talented, kind of sarcastic at times, and is definitely very confident in her ability. So I would say Iroh and Toph are my two favorite characters. But I'm going to go ahead and put you into breakout rooms. Like I said, please share your documents. Just take 5 minutes and have somebody in the room share your document, okay?